So this program is around scholarship and mentorship for undergraduate students. And if you look at Himachal as an area, it has around 90% area which is rural, which is the highest in this country. But once they are in, then we have a professional mentor. Now that's a very unique part. I would say we have professional mentors who are very high caliber. Like I would say maybe someone like you or somebody else. So right now the current cohort is around 230 students. We disbursed close to 1.2 crores in scholarships last year. We have engineering, we have medical, we have law, we also have education and humanities. That's the difference. So it's not only engineering and MBBS, we also have nursing, we have BA LLB, we also have BEd. So we have 65 plus volunteers running it.
Right.
I would
Got
say
it.
everybody is pro bono. There are
Yeah.
about two or three who work full time on it. Rest
I see.
all are doing part time. See the profile I was going to say, where else will you get? So we have for the law stream a Supreme Court lawyer, a professor from IIT Guwahati. You have amazing folks like who are entrepreneurs.
Hello, Namaskar. My name is Amit Varshne and welcome to Impactful Journeys. My guest today is actually a good friend who I've known and interacted with over the years. And I'm so happy to have him talk about one of the areas that he works in. There's a lot that we have that we can unpack with Ravi. Um, so let me just give everyone a little bit of a background of Ravi. Ravi, you were at the Nudge Institute till a few days ago.
Right.
Before that, you worked with the Karnataka government as part of the Nudge's Indian Administrative Fellowship Program, and there was a lot of work that you did over there. You are a mentor for NSR Cell, their portfolio, and you mentor a few organizations as part of that. And you switched to the social sector in 2020. So I think after 20 years in the corporate sector, you made a switch to the social sector after exiting your startup. And you've been very busy since then. So there's a lot to talk about there. And in terms of education, if I remember right, you studied at MNREC, which is I think called MNRIT now. You were at IISc, IIM Bangalore, Duke University, and I think as part of moving to the social sector, or before that, when you were considering it, I think you went to ILSS as well, and you completed their course. So a lot of rich experience, education, both on the for-profit side and on the social sector side. So there's a ton to talk about. But today we're going to talk about one of the programs that you've been instrumental in setting up. So welcome, Ravi. Thank you for joining us on this podcast. How are you
Thank
doing?
you for having me. Doing good. Thank you for having me, Amit. It's a pleasure to be here.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, Ravi, I think we'll call you back for a lot of other stuff that you've been very busy with, and there's some really incredible work you've done there. But for today, we're going to talk about this really fascinating program that you helped set up in the Himachal area. So, tell us a little bit about the problem first, right? What is the problem that you you wanted to solve that led you to sort of envisioning this program?
Sure, great. So this program is around scholarship and mentorship for undergraduate students. And if you look at Himachal as an area, it has around 90% area which is rural, which is the highest in this country. And
Hmm.
this program is anchored in an organization called SBA or Sri Badrika Ashram. And there, as we used to travel, we used to see such, I guess, rural areas, so many, kids who need direction and who did not have enough awareness. We also noticed that there are around 60% kids after 12th grade in Himachal who actually drop off. So to make an impact in our locality or in that concentric circle, which is Himachal, to get more kids to graduate or to study post 12th grade so that they can have better livelihood options too. So some of them come out of poverty. We came up with this scholarship, mentorship, and a deeper engagement, I guess, where you can get them to a job. So that is kind of the whole scheme, the SBA Youth Scholarship and Mentorship scheme that we worked on.
Tell me a little bit more, or tell us a little bit more about the Himachal landscape, right? In terms of what is the scale of the problem we are talking about?
Yeah, so I would say around 1 lakh students every year write the 12th grade exam in Himachal. And if you look at the 60% dropping off, that's like 60,000 kids every year are not pursuing anything post 12th grade. So that's huge. And if you go to those hilly areas, you would see some very bright kids, but due to either lack of resources or lack of guidance, they are not able to make it right. And we have had some amazing stories. I mean, we are, I would say, in the fourth year of our operation, so we are relatively young. It actually all started in 2021, where we were also impacted by COVID. That also brought
Hmm.
about a lot of people losing jobs, and all of a
Right.
sudden, there were a lot of need felt for kids who were actually already in college and school, sorry, in colleges, and they were struggling to, kind of make their end. So that's kind of somewhere we started. But I guess just to answer your question, the scale, we are now looking at say 60,000 students every year in Himachal who are not studying after 12th. We want to make a dent in that. I would also add one more thing. One of the core philosophies that we have also learned from the founder of SBA is around quality and not quantity. So we will not be looking at very high scale, but wherever we make an impact, we want to go deep. And you will see in our program design as well. So, for example, our goal is in next 5 years to touch somewhere close to, I would say, 10,000 students, and that's kind of the number we are looking at in 5 years, close to around 2,000 students. So, but that's not a big number, but then we want to make a deeper impact in those lives.
So
uh,
the if I got it right, the challenge is of course the lack of education opportunities and drop off rates in high school, and of course then that has an effect on future life outcomes and so
right.
on. And so to address that is this scholarship and mentorship program. Is that right?
That is correct. That is correct.
Got it. Got it. So let's talk about this. How did you envision this program? What exactly is the structure of this program, and
Sure.
what are the components that you're
Yeah.
putting together to solve for these
Yeah,
problems?
and I was going to begin, but there are a couple of scholarships in this nation. There are several of them. So in some
Right.
sense, we also learned from them. And what I would
Got
say
it.
is where we started was we said a lot of scholarships do direct applications. That's a great method where everybody applies. We said let us look at direct as well, but we also do MOU with the colleges. So the way we set it up the first year was we started going to all Himachal universities, and we have tie up with almost everybody in Himachal except maybe one or two. And all, it's not only tier 1 but tier 1 and tier 2 as well, because we know there are some amazing kids who study in tier 2 colleges and universities as well. And so whether we have IIT Mandi, NIT Hamirpur, IGMC, you name it, we have. And the why was this tie up? We felt when you do a direct application, you know only so much about a student. But when you do a tie up with a college, you have a little more history. We have a little more knowledge about them. We have more connects. We are able to actually help the kids as well a little more if there are cases. So that's number one. That's about the way we select. The second was once the program starts, or rather when they are selected after a process which again looks at both their merit as well as the need. And need is below 5 lakh income, need could be single parent, there are several factors, right? But once they are in, then we have a professional mentor. Now that's a very unique part. I would say we have professional mentors who are very high caliber, like I would say maybe someone like you or somebody else. Like, so for example, in law stream we have a Supreme Court lawyer. I have a professor from IIT Guwahati who is mentoring. So we have amazing set of mentors who do one-on-one mentoring, at least 2 sessions. That's the second part of it, because what we felt was, and again, the need of a student varies from first year, second year, third year, final year. But especially when you are from rural, maybe your dad is, I don't know, maybe a farmer, or maybe in some urban area, maybe an auto driver. So he or she, sorry, he may not know about what are the careers that are good for you. You may have inferiority complex. The other issue our kids I know face is ki they speak mostly Hindi. I mean, they have trouble in English. So what we also did was we asked them ki what is your biggest need. They said communication. So we have an ongoing English session. We have two classes we run, one at beginning level, intermediate. So that's the second intervention we do.
So
So
Ravi, so maybe thoda sa, just contextualize or maybe set the boundaries for us. So program mein kya hai? Is it a schooling program, a college program in which the students are enrolled and then augmented with mentorship, or is it that they are part of some other university and we provide scholarship and then mentorship on top.
Yeah. So
So
the
if you could
second one,
just,
and that's a
okay,
great, yeah, that's a great question. So actually, what we do is you already selected for a college.
got it.
You're let's
I
say
see.
admitted to some college. We
Acha.
will support you for tuition, and in some cases hostel fee as well. And then apart from that, we will handhold you to give mentor. So what we know is that you by your merit has somehow, let's say, got into the college, but you don't have the means both financially and otherwise, then we'll provide you that. Again,
I
that's
see.
one design. I'll come to the second design which we have just launched, but the
Got it.
first original design was that. So we have, that's why mentorship, English, and then we added boot camps, intensive boot camps. Right now, for example, we are running a coding boot camp for people who kids who want to go to software jobs. It's a 3 month boot camp with 10 to 15 hours every week, and that's run by an organization which again is very well known, one of the non-profit called Nav Gurkul, and they have placed
Yep.
amazing kind of
Right.
students at Amazon. Many so why I'm trying to say is that once you are with us, it's kind of like a white glove hand holding we are trying to do. And but it's still supplemental, and I'll come to that because that's one lesson we learned. Like they still have to learn the primary stuff at school, but we'll do the
Right.
supplemental
Right.
mentorship, English, boot
Right.
camps. But that's kind of our program in nutshell, if
So
you may.
this is again just for my understanding, rephrasing it. So kids who have completed 12th grade,
That
so
is correct.
they did not drop out from 12th grade,
Correct.
but they did complete 12th grade. They also have an aspiration to get into a college, but the future from that point onwards is hazy, right, in
Correct.
terms of their financial capability or the path, the lack of clarity, lack of opportunities, lack of aspiration, lack of mentorship, and that is there. So this is that gap that would exist otherwise if a student would graduate from 12th grade somehow or the other, give an exam, get into college somehow or the other, manage that. There is potential, but after that what they will make of that is unclear, and
Right.
mostly I think is the outcomes tend to be not as good as you would want them to be, and so
Yeah, and
therefore
also
this is a way
financial.
to.
Yeah,
Right,
also
right.
financial challenge. You see, some kids, while they take admission, are told of this scholarship upfront
Yes,
because that is
yes.
one of the reasons the MOU. So they know there is an avenue. Otherwise, some kids will not take an
Will not
admission.
even apply. Okay, okay,
Yes,
okay.
not
Right.
neither apply nor their parents can say ki, we can afford it. So I think
तो
the ha, go
तो
ahead.
फिर
Yeah.
सो हाउ आर स्टूडेंट्स टोल्ड अबाउट दिस, राइट? इज इट कि वो 12th में उन्हें मालूम पड़ता है कि दिस इज अ स्कॉलरशिप प्रोग्राम एंड सो देयर इज अ स्कॉलरशिप एट द बैक ऑफ इट, एटलीस्ट आई कैन इवन ड्रीम ऑफ अप्लाइंग, अदरवाइज अगर
Yeah.
स्कॉलरशिप नहीं होगा तो मैं तो अप्लाई भी नहीं करूंगा बिकॉज दे आई
Right.
नो दैट आई
Right.
वोंट गेट एनीवेयर. सो इज दैट हाउ
So,
इट
so
इज?
that, yeah. So right now it's just after you get the admission, right?
आई सी.
But they're told that there is an option, and
गॉट
we
इट.
do have certain criteria. They have a good feel of what kind of kids get. So there's no guarantee that say, but let's say if you got into some very good school and we take say 5 seats from that school because we know
राइट.
that's a, so there is some idea they have. But what you're
राइट.
saying is also true. We have looked at that model that right after 12, that's a future expansion plan
राइट.
where
राइट.
we actually get in touch with the student as they're doing 12th and do career
राइट.
counseling and give them kind of an assurance that wherever you go, we will support you.
राइट.
But that's like
गॉट
an
इट. गॉट इट.
expansion we are going to
Got
launch
it.
in
Got it.
some
Got
time.
it.
Yeah.
But I think what probably happens right now is because of the program being in this early stage and with the students that you've helped, the schools that they were part of or their seniors were part
Correct.
of, over there, the kids know that a senior of mine took advantage of this and they got really good
Right.
outcomes.
Yeah.
Therefore, this is a
Yeah.
hope area for me as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we
Got it.
also
Got it.
go around in our area and talk to the schools as well and inform them about this option.
Got it.
And then the
Got it.
colleges as well. Yeah.
Got it. So, ठीक है. So let's just get into the details now. कि कहाँ पे है? Where is it located? What is situated? What what is the size of the cohort of the
Sure.
students
Sure.
coming in? And what are the components? I think you were talking about the mentorship, but let's talk about it a little bit
Sure,
more.
sure. So right now the current cohort is around 230 students. We disbursed close to 1.2 crores in scholarships last year. When I say year, this is March ending. Uh, right now we are taking close to 50 students every year new. We are in year 4, so now our run rate is around 50 graduate, 50 take. So this is where we are. We have students, I was going to say, from all the streams. That's the other difference we have. We have engineering, we have medical, we have law, we also have education and humanities. That's the difference. So it's not only engineering and MBBS. We also have nursing. We have BA LLB. We also have B.Ed. So that's the
Wow.
other thing we do. It makes it complex for us.
Amazing spectrum. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, because we want to support all across. That's what I
Hmm.
was going
Hmm.
to say. That's the second
Hmm.
thing.
Hmm.
In terms of mentors, I would say we have close to 50 mentors right now, maybe 46 or 48, somewhere around that number. And mentorship is not mandatory, but almost 60% kids opt for it. So around 150, 160 have opted for it.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
similar is the case for English, around 100 or 80 to 100 kids have taken. So that's about the program. What I also wanted to say, on average, it comes to between, again, if you do the math, around 50 to 55K per student. That is the average, but it will vary. In some colleges, it may be 75 because we're covering the tuition. In some, it may be. So it will vary. What I want to also say is this mentorship is actually a very important concept. This mentor is not only a professional mentor. So what happens is you are like a buddy. So this is kind of a mix of, if you may be a career coach plus being a support system. Especially I'll tell you by year, like first year में, I don't know if I can use Hindi, but जब बच्चे आते हैं first year में,
बिल्कुल.
they are, तो वो लोगों को क्या हिंदी आती है, उनको inferiority complex, उनकी problems अलग होती हैं. So
Hmm.
they need somebody to kind of help them walk through that. एक बार उनको समझ आ जाता है, then second year problems are different. So this journey of this 4 year with a mentor is also very unique.
Yeah.
This is,
Yeah.
like I said, it's not professional, क्योंकि first year में आप क्या उनसे profession की बात करोगे? Not everybody is that. It's more
True.
around being there. I don't want to kind of highlight it, but I think it comes to my mind because recently, till yesterday only, we were dealing with this issue. This is the kind of issue we deal as a mentor. We kind of become, I won't say guardian, but there was a kid, she was facing bullying in her hostel. And she's a single parent. Unke mom is not there, only father. And again, so again, I was going to say that 70% of our students are girls and 70 to 75 from rural. And around 75% from Himachal. We are Himachal
Very
focused.
nice. Very
Now,
nice.
इसमें क्या हो रहा है कि for that kid, she had this person, and she is a law student, and we have an
Hmm.
amazing mentor who's a lawyer, etc.,
Hmm.
helping her, and वो guide कर रही है as a friend, as she can openly talk to, and we kind of solved the issue by, she's moved out and moved to a PG. May not be the ideal
Acha.
one, but
But at least she
अभी मैं,
avoids the bullying for now.
हाँ
Correct.
हाँ, तो
Correct.
अभी हम
Correct.
लोग क्या सॉल्व, तो आई एम जस्ट थिंकिंग ऑफ दैट इशू बिकॉज टॉप ऑफ माई माइंड, बट
Yeah.
we try to do the right thing by the student,
Yeah.
and be as a support system. And I think sometimes it's much needed. So if you
Yeah.
look at some of the kids who've spoken about their mentorship, they say ki he's like my friend, he's like my bade bhaiya,
Right.
ya badi didi, and that's what
Yeah.
we want to create. I think
Right.
that's important. That's number one. Number two, hard skills में English हो गया, boot camp हो गया, वो सब कर रहे हैं. We are trying to do all of it.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
eventually, I also want to say, because I want to get to the second phase of the scheme, which we just launched, which I'm very excited, want to talk. What we realized in this experience is कि आप कुछ भी कर लो, supplemental learning is supplemental. That's the first thing. And I'm being very harsh on myself only.
Right.
क्या होता है कि unless if you go to a, let's say, a tier 2 college, जहाँ college में अच्छी पढ़ाई नहीं हो रही है, there's not much impact we are able to make. This has been
Yes.
our learning.
Yes.
आप कुछ भी कर लो, राइट? दूसरा क्या होता है, टिल अ स्टूडेंट नेवर पेज फॉर समथिंग, फ्री में अगर कुछ कर रहे हो, देयर इज ऑलवेज, सो यू
उसकी
नो ऑल
वैल्यू
ऑफ
नहीं
दिस.
आती है.
सो वो
Exactly.
हम कोशिश करते हैं वो. तो हमने क्या किया, व्हाट वी आल्सो रियलाइज इज कि we also knew some non-profits who had amazing success. And like I spoke about Nav Gurukul, they said they have this 18-month program where coding ke liye they are able to place 85% kids, and that's a 18-month certificate. Now they were interested in launching a BCA degree because a degree adds more credibility. We had in our network a lot of colleges, and Eternal University, which is an all-girls university close to around 2 hours from where we are in Shalamu, small village. I mean, in that area, in close to Solan, they are around 1.5 kilometers. Sorry, 1.5 to 2 hours away, and this is called Badu Sahib. But it's a very old university, around three to
ये भी
four
हिमाचल
thousand.
में. This is also
Huh.
Himachal.
And it's all girls university.
अच्छा.
It's called the
अच्छा.
Eternal University. So we put a three-way tie-up between SBA, Shivadika Ashram, Eternal University, and Nav Gurukul. Isme the model, and this is the first year, and that's what I wanted to say. This is our new scholarship we have launched. What we are saying is, university will be eternal, infrastructure will be there. They will have their teachers, but pedagogy with the model, the model that Nav Gurukul has, they will adopt that. The boot camp style they have, the self-learning, will be powered by Nav Gurukul along with eternal staff. And we came in as a funder and program. And all of us
Hmm.
now have a 3-year BCA degree fully funded. सिर्फ
Hmm.
एक बार you have to give 23,500. That too, we wanted some skin in the game
Skin
and
in the
other
game.
reason.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
बस एक बार आपने 23,500 if you have given
Hmm.
3-year degree, and internally in our MOU we have a clause that one of our partners who is responsible for placement, and we are hoping ki if I can deliver 80% placement in this degree, and I'm picking, and this is a girls only program with income less than 6 lakh, इसमें केवल 12th पास बच्चियां अप्लाई कर सकती हैं. वी डोंट से कि, एंड दिस इज द नव गुरुकुल मॉडल, दे आर नॉट कि उसको आर्ट से भी हो सकता है किसी भी डिसिप्लिन का, बट दे वांट किड्स हु आर गुड इन मैथ्स, एंड देयर इज अ 2 राउंड ऑफ इंटरव्यूज, जो सब होता है हमारा स्क्रीनिंग, बट वंस यू आर क्रॉस्ड इट, you may be 12th pass any stream. Now that's what is an answer to what we are seeing. So while we'll do the scholarship, we also have this newer version, which is what I wanted to highlight. Like, one of the things I've learned from my experience has been to try some new things which are lightly different, and we're hoping we'll have more social ROI in
So
this,
this
and lot.
tripartite BCA जो program है, how many kids will it support?
It will have 90 kids, so 90
90 kids.
students है ना
Got it.
एक साल
Got
में.
it.
So
अच्छा.
we are launching, so right now in fact admissions are on,
अच्छा.
and so, and it's
So
amazing to see. And
so if there's a link for the applications or for
I will
people to be
send.
able to
I will.
we'll just send that. We'll
Yeah.
include that as
And
well.
and I will say one more thing, not to kind of take too much time, but I love to be in the trenches. See, one of my earlier thing in entrepreneurship was, unless I am in the trenches, so I also interview students.
Acha.
It's BCA
Very
maybe.
nice.
Even I
So
am a mentor. I recently became a mentor to a kid. I do a lot of my things जिससे कि
yeah.
मुझे भी समझ आए. Otherwise, I will be like another guy
Yeah.
who's doing it. So I just wanted to
Yeah.
say that. And
No, so
so
that
I'm.
is actually something it's funny that you brought that up because I wanted to sort of delve into that program. So the scholarship and mentorship program, let's talk about the first one, right?
Sure.
So 1.2 crores of scholarships, around 200 kids in the cohort,
230,
50 coming,
230.
230. So 50,
Yeah.
around 50 coming in, 50 graduating every year. I think the outcomes you'll talk about, what the impact has been, what the outcomes have been. But the interesting part of the model that I wanted to highlight was it is a fully volunteer based program, right?
Yes.
All the mentors are volunteers, and so it's
Yes.
not it's a different model, right? I mean, it's not that it's a new model. This has been there, but a lot of times today we talk about impact based organizations and they run them as a corporate professional organization just without the profits. But here's another model I think we just needed to highlight, that it is a well run model that is being run with the help of volunteers. And how many volunteers there are, and if you can just talk about the
Sure, sure.
quality and number of volunteers.
Yeah, yeah. Glad you brought it up. I actually, in so many things, I forgot to talk about it. But so we have 65 plus volunteers running it.
Right.
I would
Got
say
it.
everybody is pro bono. There are
Yeah.
about 2 or 3 who work full time on it. Rest
I see.
all are doing part time. See, the profile I was going to say, where else will you get? So we have for the law stream a Supreme Court lawyer, a professor from IIT Guwahati. You have, amazing folks like who are entrepreneurs, who are, from all the domains. And this is the English program that is run is all led by our teachers. All those teachers, some of those were like they've taught IGCSE schools. They're amazing teachers who would have probably charged. They were telling me, I mean, amazing amount of money for like an IB education that happens, but they are teaching pro bono. The other thing I want to highlight was, and which is slightly different, as you see, it is anchored with an organization called SBA, right?
Right.
That's also brings in a slightly different, element, because the organization's foundational values are around kindness, compassion, service, and giving. So a lot of us who do this is an seva, almost like you will see in certain, maybe some religions who have a lot more seva, but this is kind of that seva bhav with which people want to. And I feel while it's very different to run such a volunteer led, but it's amazing because everybody is intrinsically motivated. A
Yes.
large
Yes.
portion. It's not, they're not doing it for money. They're not doing it
They're not
for, I
doing
mean,
it
so
for,
that
to get anything back other
exactly
than the gratitude and the knowledge
to
that
make
they
an
to
correct
make an
and to
impact
make
in
an
that
impact,
service.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Seva
they
ka.
feel good, and that's the like, and so that's something amazing. And I compare, this kind of a structure to like what in the investing world, I also from an investing world, is like when you have a corporate venture capital fund, what are the pros of cons. Similarly, if you are within an umbrella organization doing a program, it's
Mm.
similar to that. So I actually benefit, and I say I means we benefit from these amazing folks who probably follow that philosophy, who believe in kindness as a value, who believe in compassion as a value, who believe in giving as a value. Now all associated to ashram come to know and then want to volunteer. So that's one. The other is, of course, on the donation side as well. We do get amazing donors who don't know about, the parent organization as well, but they also are some pool which, because they know that they can trust it fully,
Hmm. Hmm.
that there is, they know, and also because it's pro bono, everybody is pro bono, we have extremely low overheads. I would say
Hmm.
1 or 2%, that too just for tools and others. We
Hmm.
have done
Hmm.
automation, of course, but so that's the other thing. And so they just feel comfortable. So I think both sides we kind of benefit. We get the
Yeah.
both win-win, I guess. And
Incredible.
yeah, and
And so are these mentors also going to be involved with the BCA program that you're launching with
yes.
Navgurukul and
Eternal.
the
Yeah.
university, Eternal
That's the
University?
plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
So
see.
so what
I
will
see.
happen is, so we are, let's say, 230 plus 50 minus 50 plus 90. So we'll be around 320
Got it.
students with
Right.
it. I mean, with the
Right.
new BCA, and then next year will be one more. So we'll probably at our steady state 450 kids per year, and that's how I think we get to around 5,000 in 10 years. We want to first prove solid model in this, right? We are in early days. I think you were talking about some of the impact. I think we are still graduating students, so we have some idea of it, but I guess we want to prove some solid ROI for social impact on this.
So
And
tell us of some stories of some kids who have
sure.
graduated and the journeys that they've had.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the things we do, and I think we are two, three things I'll say. One is, given some other background we have, one is an automation is a big focus for us. Second is this measurement. We want to measure the outcomes however we can. So at the time of graduation, we have an exit survey where people talk about the impact, and we have some phenomenal numbers. I can share them. But more than that is this impact on, okay, how many of our, let's say if I have 100 students who graduated, what percentage actually got into employment and what got into higher study? Because what we have seen is, and initially we thought there'll be more who want to get into employment, but we are seeing around 50-50, or almost half of our students today actually are looking for higher education. So I'll tell you some amazing stories. So I have a kid who did a BCA from a private university. His father works at a petrol pump. They were really struggling during this COVID time. After the BCA, he had job offers from Wipro. Amazing hardworking person, works very hard. He has won amazing debate competitions, road track, you name it, right? Gold medalist for his college, every single flying color. And yeah, and again, he, and I will say this also, he had the guts not to take the Wipro offer, and he's preparing for another, Air Force entrance, which I think he will crack given the way he is, right? So, but
Wow. Wow.
that's the kind of guy. Then I'll another, story I want to talk about is another girl, like from very hard, I guess hard in the sense from a hard family life and tough. She cracked into IIT Mumbai into MTech in biotechnology. So that's another story. But we have so
Hmm.
far still graduated. If I were to count today, only we were counting around 50 or 60 students so far. So there are few of those, but whatever. But if I look at stories of kids who stood first, second, and third, almost one third or a little higher of our students, what I saw, were actually doing that. So that's a
Hmm.
good sign
Hmm.
that they are performing well in the studies. We also make sure that to stay in the scholarship, you have to maintain 60%. You have to maintain attendance. So we
Hmm.
mandate that as well. I would also
Hmm.
say our journey was, in the beginning, we were a little more need based, but we
Hmm.
are now more merit based, because what we also found, some of the other learning we had was, unless the kid has the hunger,
Yeah.
he will not utilize the resource you put in front. You may give the
Yeah.
amazing boot camp, but he will not attend it. So you need a kid who's hungry and who just needs that small nudge. It's not that we're doing a lot. We're providing some resource, but one who can maximize it. Because I can put a Supreme Court lawyer to mentor a kid, but what if they're not taking? So that's another.
Right.
The other thing I will say, not to digress much, is, so one of the questions we had was, how do we evaluate such metrics in our rubric of evaluation? So one of the things we did, and this is still work in experimentation, we have a rubric for hard work and success. We worked with an organization called eLitmus, who, by the way, also supported us fully pro bono. So thanks to them. E-Litmus is another testing organization which does a lot of testing for software engineers, and they're very well known in that circle, right? So they told us, and we looked at a lot of psychometric tests. We used to also use another platform, and we evaluated. They had a section which used to measure attention to details, and they said this is the best proxy for somebody who will actually is hungry for success and will be hardworking. So far what we have done is we have still not launched it. We are actually now doing every year annual assessment of our students on where they stand in that test. Are they close to the benchmark where they will get employed? And also eventually the goal is to employ some kind of testing around hard work if we can. And again, this is our experimentation around can that test. And so far, I think we have seen some good results. But again, that's how we are. What I want to say, I guess, not to get all over, is that we are constantly thinking of improving selection, delivery, outcomes,
Got
and
it. Yeah.
including that, and then experimenting new models. And I hope in next 4 or 5 years we will come out as like with solid ROIs.
Got it. Got it. So let's step back a little bit and go into your journey becoming part of this initiative, or in fact, sort of mapping out the initiative. What was your sort of motivation? What led you to think of this and start working on this?
Sure. So I'll maybe go back a little back, maybe in 2015. So I would say, and this is also a personal side, but I think it's important to tell that. So I've also been a person driven by, if I may use the word, spirituality very early on. So even at teenager, I used to read Swami Vivekananda. Even if you see my LinkedIn, there is that
Right.
quote that
Yeah.
actually drove me in this: "They alone live who live for others." Now,
Right.
somewhere when I got into the corporate life, I would say I was kind of, maybe I wouldn't say sucked in, but I was in that,
Yeah.
that rat race. And somewhere in
Totally.
2015, I started asking, what am I doing? Is it only for me? I
Hmm.
started asking those questions. So I used to go and go to the Sunday classes where, in Ramakrishna Ashram, we have these classes. And I asked a monk, he said, maybe you should start donating because you are a businessman. That then this was my second bootstrap business I was running, and maybe you'll feel good about it. I did it, but I was like, I'm not satisfied. I need to be in the trenches. And I want to tell you another magical thing which happened. I made a pledge that I will donate X% of my income, and magically my income kept up going up. And I'm telling it, and it's like
No, this
there's
is
some
so funny
divine help.
because this is the same thing that we have noticed as well. No, it's absolutely funny that you mentioned
So
that.
and,
Yeah.
and then again I'll say Swamiji, this Om Swami who I follow, he also says that when you want to give, you will see how the divine or the nature actually then makes you the conduit. And this happened, it's a fact. So this happened, and then I was like, no, I'm not feeling satisfied. I let me look. So this is where my spiritual journey was also going on. I was looking for a realized person. While I had taken initiation back in Ramakrishna Ashram, looking for monks. So this is where I met many monks. And I eventually then started, following a monk called Om Swami. He's an amazing software entrepreneur, renounced very early, and he has his amazing story as well. And I actually asked him, I met him and asked him, see, I'm at that juncture where I feel, and we were getting offers to my SaaS business, which I ran. I was like, see, I'm at the juncture, business is doing very well, bootstrap, 25 people, amazing. But I feel that I need to do something for this nation. I have to do. And am I running away? Because the biggest question at that stage you have is like in the Mahabharata, am I running away from the
Yeah.
battlefield,
Exactly.
or
Right.
am I really?
Yeah.
And that's the answer. He helped me, and he said, no, I think your consciousness wants to expand. Go ahead, Ravi. If you get the right price, you go ahead and sell. And that gave
Hmm.
me, I guess, the direction. And then that was 2019, and I put my business for sale. 2020 I sold my business. So that's been my whole journey, I guess. And then 2020 I started looking for, okay, now after selling my business in end of December, is like, okay, what should I do? Then I did ILSS. And then while I looked at another option with the government as a bigger impact, education was always one of the top things. In fact, the top two streams I filled in government of Karnataka were education and agriculture. And in
Right.
government I did
Right.
agri. So education was
Right.
always in my mind.
Yeah.
So now zooming back to 2021, when this program started, we were in the peak of the second wave. We were seeing tremendous disruption. We also saw that in Himachal, like I said, we used to go to the place where ashram is, and like you could feel, you interact with the kids, you could feel that this place really needs help, and that's where the genesis of all this happened. And it also so happened that we wrote the scheme document. And this is where the divine, I feel, played a role. And we reached out to an anchor donor saying, you know what, we want to start this scholarship. And there was this person who wrote a large check, the first check. He came in as a seed angel, whatever you call it. And that's where this started. And within 30
So
days, I had two large donors automatically come in. And then that's where we started. I don't know. That's kind of the story. But we wanted to address the issue around the dropout rates, around the rural, and kind of get those kids who were kind of not going further in the career to move further.
wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, and there's so much resonance over there, and I know, having watched you from close quarters, how the commitment is, and how you're driven by the spiritual angle to this. On the scholarship, on the SBA side, so you said there's all of the funds that are disbursed as scholarships. The first donor you mentioned, would you want to talk about them a little
Yes,
bit, and
yeah.
also
So
other donors, other
sure,
donors, because this is driven by donors
sure.
and mentors, so I would
Yeah.
definitely want
Yeah,
to call
and I
them
think
out.
I can give a shout out. This is Ramesh Kacholia uncle. You may know
Of
from
course.
Kacholia uncle. And again, this is Ashish Kacholia and the
Yes.
family. I mean, we're
Yes.
really thankful to them. I mean, he was the one who kind of supported, and you also know him. He's amazing philanthropist, and their family stays below the radar now. Obviously now a lot of folks know,
A
but
lot of people
back
know them.
then
Yeah.
they were below the radar. And I'll say one more thing: they don't feature in one of those top lists, but we know how much they donate.
Oh,
And they,
yes.
so it's just. And the other donor I was going to still mention, and are not still, I would say, amazing donor who came early on. I think the first year itself was Jay Chaudhary, amazing entrepreneur, very popular entrepreneur, a self-made billionaire, Forbes, I don't know, top 10, whatever, like really from Zscaler, founder and CEO. And he resonated because his story was similar. He came from rural Himachal. He came from
Yeah.
a district called Una. He did not have electricity in his village. He went to IIT BHU, and he tells about his story. Uh, and he wrote a large check as well. And he actually interacted with our kids. That was the biggest part. Like he spent 1.5 hours with us, with our students, talking about his journey. He spoke about his challenges around not knowing English when he went to first year, having that, okay, I'm from a small village, how do I get into?
The
He spoke
relatability.
about,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and we could relate. All the students could relate because some of the challenges were
Yes.
so. We are
They're the
so
same. Yeah.
happy that he was able to support. That's a great inspiration. There are some amazing folks I will not be able to mention because I don't want them. They're
Sure.
folks from Singapore. They're amazing folks who have actually supported this scheme, because of which we have been able to do what we have been able to do.
Got it. Got it. Now, you have a lot of exposure to a lot of organizations, some of which you mentor, some of which you worked for, um, and some that you're partnering with. Are there some that you want to again call out as inspiration? Organizations or founders that you've learned from, that have inspired you, that continue to inspire you, that either in the SBA part or otherwise,
Sure.
that you would want to mention?
So let me begin with maybe, I guess, a professional journey. So I sold my business to an entrepreneur called Syed Balki,
Hmm.
uh, Pakistani origin, but amazing 30 under 30. He built $100 million bootstrapped
Hmm.
business built when he was 30. You can check Shan's video. Mohan Pabrai is a friend of his. He
Hmm.
gave a
Hmm.
shout
Hmm.
out in that.
Hmm.
Amazing guy. I mean, I'll tell you why I mention his name. It's not about the money. He's a gem of a person, and not saying because he bought my business.
Hmm.
There were some things I can't reveal that went through in that deal in
Hmm.
the last
Hmm.
moment. Some, again, it has to be divine grace that it still came together, but he showed his true colors as an individual, how he was. And so I actually respect him a lot. He is now gone on. I think when he acquired us, we were the 12th company. He has now acquired 24. Go check him out. Also,
Wow.
motive, a shout out to him.
Right.
He is just on a, I mean, they're the king of WordPress, if I may.
Hmm.
Amazing, amazing guy. So that's one. The other from the non-profit, I was going to say Samir Shushodia, Rain
Hmm.
Matter. And
Hmm.
again, not saying because he's Rain Matter, but he has the passion. You can feel it uh, on biodiversity, circular economy. He's a good friend, and we have good banters. I invited him to our office, 3 hours with my team, and you can see and there are amazing stories of many more founders like that,
Right.
non-profit, right? Then Nav Gurkul, again, they're our partners. That's why we selected. Amazing story they have had, amazing success. It will be amiss if I didn't mention Atul Satija from the Nudge, where he is his sales spirit, his networking, always be selling. Amazing guy, and again working for a great cause. And
Yeah.
finally, again, there is a big list. Finally, I must also, and I shouldn't say I must, one of the key person which has influenced me, the monk who's the founder of our ashram,
Right.
Om Swami.
Right.
Uh, I mean, if you read his story about the discipline he has, he actually, I mean, I don't know if I can tell this, but I actually recently lost some 16 kgs because he wrote a post called Outlive, which was a review of a book called Outlive. And he says one thing, which is if you have 30 minutes, spend 20, 25 for health. Otherwise, if you don't have a good body, what use it is. And I just tell you, somehow what he says is so simple and it
Yeah.
influences
Yeah.
me. And I
Yeah.
felt that I can learn discipline from him, the kindness. His biggest thing is being kind. And he says, you know what? Often you hurt more people by your words. So kindness in words, and kindness is not always about donating or otherwise. It's like in the action. So I think
In general.
those
Yeah.
things. And I used to be, I guess, I was on Wall Street once. So my I guess the company which I built, those my employees tell me that I was a change person after I got into this influence because I was a classic. I don't know if I call it the type A, whatever. Like I'm still
Of
very
course.
competitive, but
Yeah. Yeah.
that kindness, I guess, I have picked up from him and his inspiration, and I guess giving back also
Yeah.
to some extent. So I just want to, yeah. So those are the four: Sayyid Balki, Sameer Sisodia, Nav Gurkul, Atul, and Swamiji, Om Swami. So yeah,
Oh,
those are my
wonderful, wonderful. But I
amazing.
mean, I think just wanted to. We'll be running out of time, but there's so much more to talk to you about, and I'm sure we'll spend more time and we'll talk about all the other things that you've done and some incredible work that you've done on the agri side, some incredible work that you've done on the AI side, and so we'll talk about that. But just wanted to close with the fact of journeys, right? The journey that you had, and so early on the influence of Swami Vivekanand, but then getting into the corporate side and then playing that role fully. When you're in that world, then you play that role. But then having, from there on, then, moving to this side and the transformation that you were talking about, for example, right? The change that has come in you as an individual, right? Those are the journeys that we all aspire for, and those are the journeys we all want to have. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing the excellent work that you're doing with SBA, and a phenomenal program with the kind of contributions you're coming in with, the kind of both monetary and non-monetary, and the impact that you're having with the kids. And we can only hope, right, in the coming years, as you're doing the measurement, that the impact is much more data based, that you're able to show that, but the stories that you have and the observations that you're making of the kids and how their lives are being transformed is really, really phenomenal. So thank you for doing all of that, and thank you for sharing that on the show today.
Thank you for having me. Thank
Thanks, Ravi.